Welcome to Blaise the Trail Podcast, bringing you authentic and vulnerable stories that will inspire you to breathe fire on this world and become your own hero. Here's your host, Blaise Hunter.
Hello, welcome to Blaise the Trail Podcast. I'm Blaise Hunter, and I am a fertility expert. No, I don't help people get pregnant. This is a different type of expertise. I actually inspire women to birth their dreams, passions, and goals, as well as discover peace amongst infertility. After going through my own traumas and tragedies, dealing with a rare disease, and experiencing 3 miscarriages, I decided to take charge of my life and not let life happen to me, but rather become the hero of my own life. I am not barren. I am continually birthing my purpose every day. So that's why I've created this show, to demonstrate how even though we experience setbacks and disappointments, we still have a destiny to birth. We just need to blaze the trail and be expecting. This podcast will inspire you to take off the masks and lean into your problems and allow them to be the vehicle that transports you into becoming the hero of your life so you can breathe fire on this world. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about living my illusion. And we're going to chat with the co-founder of the award-winning documentary series, Living My Illusion. We're going to get a man's perspective of masks and living your truth, and also how to live an authentic life. I'm so excited to have my friend Joel Van der Molen on the show today and have a no-holds-barred conversation with him. Joel Van der Molen is an English actor, speaker, and filmmaker, best known for telling his own life story in the creation of the multi-award-winning documentary series Living My Illusion on Amazon Prime. In 2009, he founded Vandercom, a telecommunications company being of service to UK businesses. Then in 2019, describing a feeling burning inside he was not living his truth, Joel turned to life coach Tony J. Salimi to help him understand more about himself and get his life on track. This led to Joel speaking and honoring his truth as seen in Living My Illusion. Following his heart's true calling and joy of acting, Joel recorded the audiobook of A Path to Wisdom from bestseller by Salimi. After this came the idea to share his story and learnings about himself for other people in the world who may be in the same situation and suffering in silence. Living My Illusion was then born. A Stardust Award winner, he is in Sovereign Global magazine and features on the front cover of Film the Magazine, where he is interviewed about his life transformational story. Welcome, Joel Van der Molen, to the show. Hey, Joel.
What a fabulous... Hello there. Hi, what a fabulous introduction. I'm waiting to hear who you're going to interview myself.
Oh, I know, right? It's you today, but I have so many guests.
It is. Oh,
on.
wow. I'm so excited to hear what I have to say.
It is just awesome to have you here. Most people don't know how we know each other. I was actually at your red carpet global release party in London for Living My Illusion just last month, and I got to really interact with you and discuss things with you afterwards, and we've just connected. And here you are on my show.
I know, it was amazing. Thank you for being there and supporting Living My Illusion.
Yeah, so really, for those people that maybe have not heard of Living My Illusion or want to learn more, maybe just take us through how this documentary was created and about you appearing front and center with your wife and a life coach and dealing with the inner workings of your marriage and your life. And why did you let people come in and see yourselves unmasked?
Right, well, to start with, Living My Illusion is about the lies that we tell to ourselves and others on a daily basis. How nearly every decision that people make is based on what other people will think of them, and how we are programmed and conditioned to live our life in a certain way, and we're told what to do, and we end up becoming people pleasers, living other people's values and their expectations of us. That's our parents, our friends, society, culture, religion, and we disconnect from that inner knowing that we all have. I believe everybody has a gift to give. Everybody is born a genius. And when we don't give that gift, we get stressed. in this world, we come into a already created world, and we're given a checklist by society, and we want to check off that list. And so, we go after, in search of, certainly in the, Western world, of getting the house, the car, the marriage, the kids, the dog, the cat. I have a cat. My cat does appear in Living My Illusion in my office. And, so we end up living a life for others, but and not truly listening to ourselves within. So how it all happened was in 2015. I met a very unique and special man. I had already been doing a lot of work on things like listening to a lot of people, reading a lot of books, self-help books, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. So I've already been building myself up. And Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame. And I was looking for a business coach to take my telecommunications company to the next level. I thought that was the answer. Oh, if I could just have more income, and if I could just have a bigger house, or if I could just have, a boat, then I might be happy. But it's but then I was at Inspired Stage. Now, Inspired Stage is a sort of where a lot of people go to talk, and it's a sort of TED Talk style inspirational talks. Tony was there. A sequence of very interesting events led me to miss the February one and join the March one, and then I met him. Oh, and I thought, when I heard him, I thought, okay, this guy could be my business coach. Let's see. Mm-hmm. And then I just didn't know what was going to happen. I had an 8-hour meeting with him in the Savoy Hotel, explained what I'm doing, but I read A Path to Wisdom before I met him. Well, I read some of it. I couldn't read it. It was 300 pages. But I have got proof that I read it because I recorded it, the audiobook. But as soon as I started reading it, my whole body was just feeling very connected to it. It was just like electricity passing through me. It gave me so much energy. And I just enjoyed every paragraph, every word of this. And then I met him, and I was like, wow, do you know what this is? This is incredible. And, I was jumping up and down in the lobby of this Savoy Hotel. Nice place to jump up and down, if anybody knows the Savoy Hotel in London. And, I got very excited. And I wanted to, immediately it was, okay, be a business coach. But I had no awareness of the wisdom of who I was working with and where this journey would take me. Now, to remove blocks in my business, it wasn't about the business. It was about me. I was never going to go and reach a new level until I address the blocks and the learned behaviors and the patterns that was happening within me where I was not living my truth. Tony says as soon as he met me, he could see I was living an illusion. Mm-hmm. And I was very excited about everything he said to me, that I wanted to capture every word for my own learning. But then I realized that, okay, people don't have access to this kind of teachings, or it's just not taught. We're taught a different way in school. I wanted to scream and shout and run through the streets and tell everybody that, we are more. But then, of course, people, as soon as you go and approach people and say this and that, and they say, what's wrong with you? What's happened to you? Who is this guy? Is this a cult? Or, and I said, okay, well, what can I do? Now, I did start by doing the audiobook. I loved the book so much, A Path to Wisdom, that I really thought that, okay, I'm going to be the best person to record this, and I really wanted to, and I loved every minute of it. It wasn't work for me. It's creativity. I was getting to express my creativity with what I believe is the most powerful and important message of our time in living one's truth. This led on. Yeah. This led on to the idea of, because, you can't tell people things, but if you can point the camera back at yourself, then people may see in a reflection. So exactly. I thought, I'm just going to tell my honest truth, my feelings, my thoughts, my raw emotions of what's going on and happening inside of me, my learnings about me, without fear of what anybody would think. And that's what you see in Living My Illusion, is me speaking openly and honestly, and it's transforming people's lives. The messages I get every day from people, that it's helping. Because I'm talking about things which I couldn't talk to anyone about. I just felt that. I felt this inner loneliness. And I was unable to share with those people who were closest to me. And I wouldn't even admit these type of things to myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing, in my book too, Heroine, it talks about a variety of topics, one of them being motherhood. And I can relate to that feeling of you didn't feel like you could tell anyone, even yourself, because becoming a mother, I was struggling with different things postpartum and just different things of exhaustion and depression, that I felt like guilty and ashamed for admitting certain things, admitting that maybe I regretted becoming a mom in that moment. And that wasn't okay to admit in the world yet, right? And so I can kind of relate to you thinking like all these different issues happening where you don't feel like you can be honest about it.
I was creating illusions based on what other people were sort of wanting me to do, or it was kind of expected. And that's what I went in search of. I went in search of the life that my parents had, and I think most people do. Mm-hmm. I think, if you take a broad look at it, most people become their parents. The same salary, the same lifestyle, the same path. Because we come into this world and we're greeted by two giants, and one's called Mummy and one's called Daddy. And they say, okay, to live in this world and to be safe and secure, you get a safe, secure job, and that's what you do. Because they want you to survive. They want the best for you, parents. They do, but they can also be a child's worst enemy, because they're programming the ideas, the beliefs, the psychology that they have learned from their parents, going back to, maybe who grew up in the 50s or in the 60s, and so we're the kind of the millennial generation that I may be one of the oldest of, are given everything they want, told that they're fabulous, go out into the real world, and suddenly they realize that, they can't get that part in the Hollywood movie, or certainly I did. Mum can't cast me in a Hollywood film, and people really don't find me, my English personality, that amusing sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're coming into this world. When we go, we're coming out into this world, and we're not given a satellite navigation system, and we can't program our vision.
Exactly. Well, and that's
so working exactly with Tony helped me uncover the lies that I was telling to myself and the illusions that I was creating, instead of speaking, honoring my truth, and following my heart, and following my calling.
Well, and there's a whole bunch in there, because if we've never done it before, we really don't know how to do that, right? We don't know, we've never done it before. And I want to touch on that a little bit, because I've seen the episode. So for the listeners out there, you guys are releasing this series like basically one episode at a time here. So one episode is up on Amazon Prime, and I watched it. And I have to be honest with you, I actually had a love-hate reaction to your behavior in the episode, because I found myself watching you and applauding you for your honesty and saying, yes, we need to see that. We need to hear that. Thank you. But then the way you handled certain things, I was like, no, what are you doing? Pulling away or doing things I might have not have done. And I was almost like yelling at the screen, like, come on, buddy, like push towards your partner, not pull away and feel like you need to exit. And you guys kind of left us on a cliffhanger for the second episode of what will happen with you and your marriage and your partner there. And I just have to say, like, it was interesting to watch you go through all of these emotions in real time. Basically, it wasn't like you going to therapy and coming back and having these realizations. It was like real therapy sessions and real realizations and questions and thought patterns, right? And coping mechanisms. And I basically was you in that situation, but in the woman form. So I kind of went through things like that 3 years ago with my husband, but I ended up growing with him, and we grew together, and I pushed towards him, and he was very open and just held space for me. So it was a different kind of dynamic. So it was just a very interesting reaction from me. And I thought, wow, why am I getting so triggered by your reaction? Maybe we can talk about it a little bit. Do you get different reactions from how you handled that first episode there?
I get a lot of, mixed reactions. The majority of the people that would come up to me, we've been very fortunate to attend a lot of film festivals. Mm-hmm. And we've won 14 international film awards.
That's amazing.
Which means that it speaks to people on many different levels, but ultimately they're judging the story. They're judging something new that's going on in the world of documentary and film now. This is really pushing boundaries, pushing borders.
Yes.
And when you do that, two things are going to happen. You're going to challenge people, and you're going to inspire people. Now, so a lot of people will come up to me afterwards, and they are very supportive because they see themselves in me. Mm-hmm. And it helps them to ask important questions about their own life and the way they're living it, and if they are being true to who they are, and then they have a choice. But certainly anybody who does watch it moves forward. So yes, but then you get the other side where people will point at the screen and shout, "Oh, you're this, you're that, who do you think you are? How dare you?" And I had this because people fall in love with these ideas of the perfect marriage, the perfect life, and maybe half of the world would swap their problems for my problems any day.
Well, exactly.
When we're not being true to ourselves, we hurt the others around us. Mm-hmm. Now, that has a long-term health. That causes long-term health problems. From the learning that I have, and I do talk about illness in episode 1 as well. And why does illness happen?
Exactly, the dis-ease, right?
Because our bodies are so intelligent and they communicate to us. Mm-hmm. We communicate through 90% of it is body language. Now, of what's going on inside, our bodies are constantly communicating to us. If we need to go to the toilet, we go. We listen to our body. Otherwise, we're going to have an embarrassing accident. Mm-hmm. But when you're not living your truth, how does your body communicate it to you? It's going to tell you in a form of an illness. It's that nagging feeling that every single person has inside of them. Inside, you can feel this thing where you're not living your truth, and it's going to communicate to you. Now, we can try to drown it with alcohol or choke it with cigarettes or exhaust it with exercise. Whatever addiction works.
Mm-hmm. To numb it, right? Yeah.
To numb it, to suppress what it's trying to communicate. And it may be that, so it may be that you're not in the right relationship. I mean, how many people do we know in jobs they don't want to be in?
Yeah, I think it's about asking the question, right? Asking and being reflective and working through that. And that's your own personal journey. So even the reaction people are getting off the screen at this story, it really, it's why am I reacting that way to your story? You don't affect me.
Correct. Right. Right. But so how people react depends on where they are in their life.
Yeah.
So
and it's just an interesting observation, right? Like sometimes it's just, I have that emotion that evoked that emotion in me. Or maybe that is something I need to reflect and work on. Like there's all these questions we need to ask ourselves, right?
Brilliant. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's a reflective tool. It's become a reflective tool. Now, we didn't go out there and expect this, but we saw it first, certainly from the first edit. I was like, wow, okay. Even if it just went out with a really rough edit, it's very powerful. It
is powerful. It's raw. And that's what I'm about too. It's about not showing the highlight reel and what you're showing to the world of what your relationship and what you look like as your outside image. It's showing the inner workings, the flaws, the messiness. And it's raw and it's real, but that's the beauty of it, right?
because people we're living in a Facebook, Instagram world where everything's fine and dandy, and look at me smiling and the amazing life I have. And I'd be the first person to take a selfie and say, look at me, I'm successful.
Yeah.
I've got a film. I'm in film. I'm in film festivals. But inside, I was anxious, stressed, depressed, lonely, confused, and upset about the way my life was turning out.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
Yes.
And I think in a plastic constructed society reality with no access to truth, people are wanting authenticity. So I'm on screen, raw, my authentic self, and Timea as well, to as a lesson and inspiration to others perhaps, but to deliver something in what is an entertaining way. And as we go through the episodes, we want to be, there's more learning for people to take away. And people are ready for this. I think there's a global awakening happening.
They are ready for this, because I think we're doing so many things in our life, searching for happiness, searching for fulfillment. But what ends up happening is we work so hard on the mask that we never penetrate to the actual soul, which dictates your happiness and your joy and living your truth, because we're working so hard on the mask. And then we realize, that didn't help me be happy. It didn't help me
we do get
fulfilled.
there in the end. I don't think there's a single successful person that said money has made them happy.
Exactly.
Now, sure, it provides great opportunities, and you can live in a nice house and drive a nice car, but after a while, the illusion fades. They're short-time highs.
Well, and a lot of times, like you said in the film, we're people-pleasing. We're doing it for other reasons, and we always have to go down to the question, why? Why am I doing this positive or negative thing? What is the actual root reason for it, right?
Well, but because we want to feel included. We want to be loved.
Yes.
We want to be seen. And so we want to be seen to being the right thing. We want to, but we're not living true to who we are.
Exactly.
Because any single person knows how they felt. Now, I think everybody can relate to this. We can all look back and say, I made a decision at the time, but I knew back then it wasn't the right thing to do, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, when we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, we don't care what other people think about us. We don't worry about what our ex-boyfriends and girlfriends are doing on Facebook. We're living in the moment.
Yes.
We're being creative. Sophie, my daughter, you see her in that film. She's now turned 6. But she's not worried about what people think about her. She's being her all the time. She's living in the moment. But most people are believing that they are their past, which is 50% fabricated by them, and they're worried about their future and don't stop to be in the moment. And I guess that was, and I know this because, I can feel it because I was living that. I am.
Yeah.
I still do. I'm still,
Absolutely.
It's not, the only, what helps me is that I've found what it is that I love. And I think most people know what it is that they love. They just don't know that they can do it.
Well, and people always say, some people say, I don't care what people think. Of course you do. It's human behavior to care. And I don't think we're ever going to not get rid of people wanting people to, care and approve of us. But now we got to pick who's valid and who's worthy of that opinion, right? Not everybody's valid to have an opinion of your life and you care what they think. It's your close inner circle that have trust with you, that can give you advice and wisdom, and you can take that. Those are your inner circle of what you care what people think. The rest are just the peanut gallery. They don't matter. They're not in the ring with you, right?
But everybody, we don't, when we're younger, we don't really care what anyone thinks about us. Of course, we learn.
No, because we kind of grow into that society side. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're taught that love is outside. We're taught that happiness is outside. Happiness in itself is an illusion, because you can't have happiness without sadness. You can't have dark without light.
Mm-hmm.
Balance balance, I think, is what I've certainly learned, to be balanced in any moment. So you don't go really high or really low. You can, as you said, you're working in a job, it's pain. There's the pain of that to get the pleasure. The pleasure is the lifestyle you can afford for yourself. But when you do what you love, when you find what you love, you embrace the challenge and the support. You embrace the pain and the pleasure.
Wonderful.
And that's why I think it's so important that people learn this now. And when you have trust in you, when you can really listen inside and trust you, start that inner journey, you find what it is that you love. And this is what I did with working with an expert like Tony, because there was always other people you can learn from, whether it be YouTube videos. Wow. Loved listening to people like Kyle Cease. Incredible.
Mm-hmm. And
absolutely. Other people who just really help you to, may just be one thing that they say, maybe one thing that you read, or it may be watching Living My Illusion, but it can transform your life.
Well, that's what you said. You really discovered balance, and you discovered that. What are the biggest things that you took from this experience, positive and negative? A few things here.
Working out who I am, really addressing and acknowledging the truth of who I am, and being strong enough to say, I'm going to live my truth for the benefit of everyone I love the most, and people around me, and for me. We don't put ourselves first. We end up putting other people first, and we forget, and we put our things, who we want to be, last.
Mm-hmm.
When working on you, I think, is the best gift you will ever give to your soul, to give to yourself. And then you can give your gift to the world. When we don't give our gift, we get stressed. There's a reason the heart attack rate increases by 35% on a Monday morning, because people are not living who they are. There's, when you do what you love, or you find what it is you love and you do what you love, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it inside, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. And get through the voices in the head that say, no, you can't do that. You go, because we've got two voices going on. We've got the ego mind and we've got the heart.
Exactly.
So learn to listen and follow the heart, and trust in you is the scariest and the greatest thing. But that's where growth happens, on the border of challenge and support.
And so
I learned all this, so I wanted to share this.
Yeah, exactly. And so what were some of the challenges that you were facing, that you were like, I don't know if I can do this, or some negative things? Like, what was those things that you found really challenging in this process?
Okay, so it's the trusting in you, but really being able to do it, because so many people will buy me books, talk about books they've read, talk about things that they're watching. And, I would as well read these things about trusting in you. Listen to your heart. Go, follow your path. Don't worry about what other people think about you. But as soon as something happens, we immediately jump back to our default reaction of fear.
Yes.
No matter how many times they read, however many books that is happening, that they return to that default reaction. Every morning I wake up and I've got fear, and oh my God, I've got that fear, but I will keep going.
Awesome.
And this, it takes an immense amount of trust.
It does.
It does. But when you know what it is you love, and you're doing something that's of higher purpose and a great service to other people, you're protected in any given moment in time, I believe. But I'm living proof. I'm doing it, and I'm showing it through a documentary, that you can go from where you are to where you want to be, to where you truly want to be in life.
I love it.
And I'm not letting anything stop me from doing that. And that way things show up. When you can trust you, and you have a vision, and you create this, and you write it down, and affirmations work. I proved it. And then new people start showing up in your life to push you further onto that, in the direction of that vision.
Well, and I think when you get on the right path there, and do push and do see some results, then you feel motivated, like, I've come too far to turn back, so I'm going to continue going. That doesn't mean I'm not going to face another challenge or fear, but you look at where your journey had began and where you are now, and you're like, well, I've come too far. I'm going to continue, right?
And more people will come into your awareness, and you may take the opportunity, or you may ignore the opportunity, or fear will stop you from taking that opportunity. Another opportunity may show up. We're always going to be pushed in the direction. Our soul, our call, is always going to push us in the direction of our calling, of the reason we are here, perhaps, in this, expansive emptiness of galaxies upon, with whatever's going on here. We're always trying to work out. But we're here for a short time, even at the longest.
Exactly. You got to make the most of it.
We are going to die, and there is no sequel.
This is true. Well, I love that this documentary really hones in on taking off the masks that we wear and apply every day. And it's really about yours and Timia's kind of experience in this. But since I have you here on the show and having a man's perspective, what are some masks that men tend to apply when they are unhappy in their lives or lost and don't know who they are or what their truth is?
Well, we can all see the reason Tony's called the see-through coach, and working with him, you learn to see the behaviors in others when you can see them in yourself. We all wear different masks with our family, with friends, with society. Oscar Wilde, he said, I can't remember what he said, but it was very good.
That's how it happens, right?
But it was quite profound, I tell you.
We'll look up his quotes.
I found it.
Okay.
He said, man is least himself when he talks his own person. Give him a mask and he'll tell you the truth. So, yeah, maybe my mask is the cameras. So I tell the truth. So everybody wears different masks when they're out, when they meet new people. When they're socializing, when they're in business, we're constantly wearing masks because it's that fear of what other people will think of us.
Exactly. And what if you judge my mask? That's fine. It's just a mask. But if I actually take the mask off, then you're really judging who I am. And sometimes that's too scary for some people to handle. Most of us. That's why we apply the mask, to protect or to hide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So there's good and bad in everything. But speaking one's truth all the time saves a lot of time.
Exactly.
And, it probably moves us along further, and it feels good. That's why when the truth comes out, people feel good about it. If the truth doesn't come out and it's suppressed, that eats away at you. It's like going to a room in a house that you haven't been in. You've locked away all of those things that you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to share. And what happens? The room starts to rot. It gets very mold. That's what's happening inside.
Exactly. And masks are a tricky thing. And you just got to attempt to take one off and see how it goes and experiment with that and ask, what is my mask? What do you do to numb? Because people are like, I don't have a mask. And it's like, well, we all do. So what do you do when you're angry? What do you do when you're sad? What do you do at work when you're not satisfied? In your relationships, like, what are your coping mechanisms? What are you applying to get through? And that is a clue as to what you're masking and what you're using, right?
I truly think that when we do what we love, everything else blends into insignificance. So we don't need to wear masks. So
if people say, like, well, I'm not happy.
When I'm writing, when I'm creating, when I'm working on acting, when I'm speaking, when I'm interviewing with you, it's just like, I'm not worried about anything else. I'm not, my mind is not focused on anything else. It's about focusing on what you love. And when you do that, or if you don't do that, then all the things that are not serving you will show up as well.
Yeah, and just wrapping up here closely here, like, people are listening here, and the majority of people are not living happy. They are masked up. They aren't living their truth. They are people-pleasing. So you've been through this process. You're going through this documentary series. You're reliving it every time you promote it. Like, if people are asking, like, okay, how do I take a step towards being happy and knowing my truth and living it? Like, what is your advice in that?
Well, I mean, certainly everyone has a starting point. That may be listening to this. And it may be watching Living My Illusion, or it may be reading Tony's book, or just, reflecting on Living My Illusion. The people that I see, a weight is lifted, and then they feel, okay, now I can open up a conversation with my partner, with my friends, with myself, most importantly.
So opening up that dialogue.
We all know. Yeah, opening up that dialogue and being truthful and honest. And, going in search of our real dreams, it's one life. Why are we not running like we're on fire towards our towards our real dreams, instead of the dreams and the illusions that we believe we should have.
And it's taking back that control,
the people
right?
we call great, the people we call great they may have masks, but there's a reason that we call them great.
Yeah. Well, they went out and took the risk, right?
They did. But at the beginning, they were ridiculed.
Yes.
They were ridiculed. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg had many friends at school? No, he probably didn't. He was probably bullied, but now he's got 2 billion.
Yeah, you've got to push past that and want it so bad. And I say, you want to live your life like you want joy, you want purpose, you've got to want it more than you want to breathe. That's how bad you got to want it and fight for it, right? Yeah.
I mean, there's one side of that. Yes, there is. But yeah, I mean, but it's overcoming yourself.
Exactly.
I used to play tennis. I was very good. But before I could beat the opponent the other side of the net, I had to beat myself. It was very psychological. It was very a mental game of tennis, and it was about that. It's about overcoming the fears within ourselves, the fears of success, the fears that, who you would be, because it's not, you're breaking a comfort zone. I broke comfort zones massively. I got very comfortable, but this normality was destroying who I am. And because people become comfortable and they say, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. But as soon as they're pushed on it, then they hold back and go, oh, no, because, I've got bills to pay.
Yeah, it's a comfort. And it's scary. Of course it's scary.
Breaking that comfort zone.
Yes, pushing
but
through
you
it.
ask anybody in their 1880s or 90s, and Oprah Winfrey did this, and commonly, every woman that she spoke to said, if I could go back, I would live life on my terms. And not for other people.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Joel. Just recapping what we talked about today, just about living your true, authentic self, living in your truth, taking off some masks, and like you said, just walking and stepping out of your comfort zone and just at the possibility of discovering who you are and living out that truth. And I just want to reiterate with you again how amazing Living My Illusion is. It is something for the decade, for the century, for people, for couples, for everybody needing help in finding their truth and their purpose and living that authentic life. Please watch it. Joel, where can people watch the show and get in contact with Living My Illusion, and where they can get more information?
Yeah, go to livingmyillusion.com. And then you can find all the links for whichever country you're in to watch it. And there's other interviews. I think we put our interview on there as well.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, but Amazon Prime, and we say, to everybody, please, we welcome your honest feedback in the reviews, in the comments, and we get, people who can't stand me, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you get the other side, that people, you're always going to get both sides, and that's
well,
lovely.
you are, and that's about. It's not filtering the bad either, because it's where people are at, and it's good to have that both sides to it, and spark other conversations, right? And so my Canadian friends can't get it on Amazon Prime in Canada just yet. It will be there in the future, but definitely go to livingmyillusion.com and find out where you can watch the first episode.
That will be linked.
What's next for you guys? When is the next episode maybe going to be released, or where are you headed to next? I know you've been tons of awards.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting, and we were we're always filming, because the camera's always on.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we're piecing, now we think episode 2 is going to be April.
Oh, perfect.
Hopefully before. So, but that's where we're sort of headed. And then we got episode 2, 3, 4. So
Wonderful.
That's where we want to get to before the end of the year. And of course, there's work that I'm doing.
Yes.
But I love it.
Me too. That's what we're doing. It fuels us, right? It actually is our purpose and our truth, and it brings us joy, right?
There's nothing else I would rather do. And then, people will say, well, don't you want to take a break, take a holiday? Well, why?
No, it's fueling me. It actually fuels me. It fuels you, right?
Yeah, and that's the best place to be in. But, it's as long as it's done that you're in service to others, and that's amazing. It really is. It really is. It's obviously a pleasure to work with. I've got Timia, who's completely supportive of me, who is very on board with what we're doing and sharing with the world. And then you've got Tony, who, he has his own vision and mission to do in life, and he wants to help people, and we love being a part of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel. That is for
Amazing.
Yeah, that's it for this week's episode. Challenge yourself to be vulnerable. Lean into those difficulties and have those open conversations. Unmask yourself. Discover who you really are and own your truth. And so we can rise up as the heroes of our lives and let us breathe fire together. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Blaise Hunter.
You've been listening to Blaise the Trail with Blaise Hunter. To learn more about how you can breathe fire and unleash the hero within, or to listen to past episodes, visit blaisehunter.com.